Yes, you are an asshole. No offense. You smell like one anyway. I found this Reddit where people basically put forward scenarios that have happened and ask the people of Reddit, am I an arsehole for this? Or an asshole? Or both? And I thought, because I'm the expert of the arsehole, I will take care of this and I'll decide if these people are arseholes or not. As an avid arsehole enjoyer, you know, most of my calorie intake comes from arseholes in many ways. Okay, let's go. Am I the arsehole for telling a woman I didn't want to go on the village bicycle after she tried to hook up with me? I used to be the fat funny guy in my group of friends from university. I played sports and worked out, but just loved food and drinking, so I had quite a lot of fat on me, and as such wasn't the most attractive guy. Well, just empty your pockets if you're keeping that much fat in your pockets. Anyway, there was this one girl in our group who was notorious for sleeping with everyone. It didn't matter if they were in a relationship or not. She worked her way through most of the guys in the group, except for me, of course. Of course, not me. Not the big fat one. In my younger brain at the time, I became infatuated with her and thought I was in love, but also hurt that she was attracted to everyone but me. She made it quite clear that she was just not attracted to me in the slightest, almost always verbally in front of the group, and in an essence, I was her punching bag. And now I'm just picturing the guy just there like this, and she's just putting in fucking rounds on him. Come on then. I'm gonna shag your mate after this, by the way. And he's just there taking it. I am in love with you. Our group drifted apart after university, but we'd usually meet up a couple times a year, and more often for those that I lived nearer. My work gave me the opportunity to work abroad for 3 years, so I took it. I'd be in the middle of nowhere, so it'd be impossible to just order takeaways, and I could use it as an opportunity to work on myself. I was flown back every couple of months to visit family, but didn't really meet up with the group that much. I recently returned and I'm a changed person, lost a bunch of weight and had a wonderful time. We met up as a group a couple of weekends back, and most of the group didn't recognize me at all. We were drinking long into the night before I was approached by her, telling me how amazing I look and how I've changed so much. It was clear she was coming on to me, but I just felt disgust at the way she treated me. She had no obligation to sleep with me, but it didn't mean she had to bully me so much because I thought I was in love with her. I calmly told her that I wasn't interested in having a go on the village bike and then went to hang out with other people. I feel like you could maybe not have worded it that way. What do you mean calmly? I calmly said, I don't want to have a go on the village bike. I just don't. Although he did say this girl bullied him. I mean, other than saying he was her punching bag, which I don't think means literally. So the joke I made, I don't think is true. So I don't really know what happened between these guys. The next morning there was a huge row as some of the girls had found her drinking very heavily and crying alone. She'd been upset by what I said, but it seems it was the catalyst as her life wasn't going great and I pushed her over the edge. One of the girls ended up taking her home and there was quite a bit of tension over the weekend. The guys mostly thought it was hilarious that I stood up for myself, improved my life, whereas the girls thought I was a pig. And shouldn't kick someone who is down just because I improved. You're probably an arsehole for saying that, to be fair, if I'm being honest. She's an arsehole for bullying you. You're an arsehole for calling her a village bike. Pretty much. Swings and roundabouts. Hey, who would have thought? Am I the arsehole for telling a guy the real reason I wasn't dating him was that he was an extremely picky eater? He was eating pickies, huh? You know those things where you say, oh, we're out in the wild. What a great background. Can you take a quick picky of me? He eats them? So you take a photograph of each other and he just gobbles that up? What a greedy little guy. No wonder you broke up with him. Here's the situation. I, 28-year-old female, met this guy, Jake, 30-year-old male, on a dating app. He seemed like a good match, funny, smart, and we had some common interests. After a couple of weeks of texting, we decided to meet up for dinner. Your first mistake. You should have eaten his ass first. For context, I'm a sous chef and I come from a culture where food is a huge part of life. Sharing meals and trying new dishes are essential to me, not just because of my job, but because it's part of how I connect with others. Our first date was a nice Italian restaurant, and that's when I first noticed something was off. Jake spent a ridiculous amount of time asking the waiter about every single dish. When it was finally time to order, he settled on plain pasta with butter. I hate when people do that. I understand if you have a eating disorder, you sort of can't avoid eating stuff like that. But when people choose to, I had friends who would just have like pasta and butter as a snack. It's not the Blitz anymore. You can have a pack of crisps if you'd like, or a yogurt. God forbid you have a yogurt. The Germans aren't coming. You're safe. You don't have to queue up for lard anymore. Times have changed. No sauce, no toppings, no ass, no butthole, no dick. I added those bits. Just noodles and butter. I also hate when people say noodles when you're talking about pasta. Like they say pasta noodles. I just don't like it because it's just not true. If I went on a first date, honestly, and they got pasta and butter, that would be a red flag to me as well. I just think, why? Why is that? What's your gut like? What's going on in your gut biome? Then we went out again and I suggested sushi. Jake made a face and said he doesn't eat seafood or anything that's uncooked, so we ended up at a diner instead. Once again, he interrogated the waiter about every item on the menu before finally ordering a plain cheeseburger with nothing on it, just meat, cheese, and bread. This was starting to become a pattern. Oh, you've figured him out. I'm surprised he didn't just say yes to sushi and just order just rice. Just plain rice. Maybe a bit of butter as well. I'm surprised he even has butter. That feels like a bit adventurous for someone like that, no? Over the next few dates, it became clear that Jake was extremely picky. Not because of allergies or a medical condition like ARFID, but simply because he refuses to try anything unfamiliar. Well, how do you know he doesn't have ARFID though? Because not the little green bugs that fly around, they're aphids, dumbass. ARFID is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. They have a difficulty eating enough food and have a lack of interest in food, extreme avoidance of certain foods, or the fear of consequences of eating. So he might have a little bit of ARFID, you don't know. I feel like picky eaters, to an extent, it's probably a condition to an extent anyway, no? Being a picky eater, it's not something you can help. I know that. I'm personally not a picky eater, but I've known people who have been picky eaters, and it's not something they can avoid. You know, it's not, they're not doing it because they're like, nah, I'd rather have a burger. That's disgusting, eating vegetables. It's because they just like, it's deeper than that, I think. Every meal turned into a challenge, and he even made faces or comments about dishes I enjoy, which started to feel disrespectful considering my background. Yeah, I mean, that is kind of disrespectful. If you're having, you know, buttered pasta and then you have the audacity to turn around and go, you eat sushi? What the fuck? You're fucking weird. Eats cardboard. The breaking point came when I invited Jake to a potluck dinner hosted by one of my colleagues. It was a big event with lots of homemade dishes from various cultures, exactly the kind of thing I love. When we arrived, Jake immediately looked uncomfortable. As we moved through the buffet line, he barely put anything on his plate. He kept making comments like, this looks weird, or I don't trust food that has too many ingredients. Yeah, okay, that's a bit of a straight, yeah. Not the best approach. When you're at a friend's house for dinner and you're like, that looks weird. Oh, you made that, how long did that take you? 8 hours. Looks fucking weird. I bet it tastes weird as well. Do you have anything plain back there? Do you have any milk and rice that I could have? I don't trust food that has too many ingredients. What do you think it's going to do? Cheat on you? Quite frankly, I think you think more than 3 ingredients is too many ingredients though, because the most I've heard you eat is a plain cheeseburger, meat, cheese, and bread. Anything over 3 is like the golden number. Anything over 3, it's untrustworthy. God knows what you put in there. A knife? You can see it's mac and cheese. What do you mean? There's a knife in there, isn't there? I was embarrassed, especially since these were my colleagues and friends who had spent a lot of time preparing these dishes. Jake picked at his food and eventually whispered to me that he was going to leave and grab some fries from a fast food place nearby because he couldn't eat this stuff. He left the potluck early, leaving me to make excuses for his absence. Diarrhea always works, trust me. I use it every time when I want to leave early. Guys, it's been a pleasure, but I've got diarrhea. I'll see you another time. And then I just fart on the way out and say, oop. So then people are like, did he just shit himself? Or is that part of this act? I don't know what's going on. Keeps people guessing. It's called being nonchalant, guys. Look it up. That was when I realized this wasn't going to work. Food is such a significant part of my life and my culture, and I need someone who can share this with me. So I decided to end things with Jake. To avoid hurting his feelings, I told him it was because I wasn't ready for a serious relationship right now. But Jake wouldn't let it go. He kept texting and calling, instead insisting that he deserved to know the real reason. After a week of him pestering me, I finally told him the truth, that his extremely picky eating habits were a major issue for me, and I couldn't see a future where food wasn't a constant point of tension. Now I'm left wondering, was I the arsehole for telling him the real reason I didn't want to date him? I think you are not the arsehole for this, quite frankly. You know, you're not forced to be with anyone in life. And if your interests don't align, then that's a very good reason for you to not be with someone. You know, if it's gonna be a point of tension, like food is a big part of your life and they don't like eating certain foods or picky eating, you know, I get it. I do. It's the same with anything though. Like, let's say a huge part of your life was hiking and the person you were going out with really despised nature, then you just probably aren't a good match, you know, because it would just be a point of tension at all times. So I don't think you're an arsehole. And I think telling the truth is a good thing as well, to just turn around and say, the truth is, this is a point I see this being a point of tension in our relationship, so I don't think it's going to work. I think that's fine. Neither person's fault here, really. It's not his fault he's a picky eater. And I feel as though she might be suggesting it's his own fault. So maybe, yeah. Am I the arsehole for secretly cheating on our vegetarian diet that my wife made our family do? Ooh! You did not. What'd you do? Eat ass? I know that's not the only meat in the world, but it's the first thing that comes to head. I want to start by saying 38 male. Why does everyone on Reddit all of a sudden start doing this? This doesn't exist on any other platform. Everyone just says, me. 38-year-old male, uncut, long, 3 inches wide. Girthy, fast, size 11 feet, I get heat rash in the summer. And my wife, 35, female, childbearing hips, 3 centimeter diameter on the areola. 12 months ago, my wife converted to a new religion, which included her giving up meat. The whole family, me and our 2 young boys, were supportive of this, and we held a vegetarian-only dinner that night as a little sign of support. That's nice. Life continues for another 8 months, basically unchanged. The boys and I eat meat and my wife doesn't. However, things start to change around that 8 to 10 month marker. Can't remember exactly. Basically, along with not eating meat, my wife now no longer wanted to be around it. This wasn't the only thing. Things continue to progress. Basically, my wife started to finger me. I put that in there. Basically, my wife started to replace things in the house with substitutes. First, the pork in my house was swapped out for jackfruit. Eggs were swapped out for substitutes like Just Egg. Shirts were only bought from clean brands like plant-based clothing, and deodorants were swapped out for deodorant pills like Go Scentless. There's pills for deodorant now. You mean I can fix this issue? You mean I can finally smell good? Surely that's can't be good for you, can it? You're supposed to smell, really. So just stopping that happening is kind of weird. To say this was creating a rift would be an understatement. The things in Fortnite, of course. And eventually I brought up to our wife that again, while we 100% support her in her decisions around these things, I didn't think it would change things for the boys and me, unless of course they wanted it. Wife argued that her values have changed and that being around some of this stuff was really hard for her and wanted us to support her. For the next 2 to 3 months, the house was a place of pretty high tension. It had gotten so bad that the boys have friends bringing them meat from their houses, since it was now completely gone from ours. Secret meat being brought over from your friends. Oh no. I'm just picturing like a illegal meat deal going on down in the garden. He's like, yo, or he gets to school, he's like, you got the ribeye? You got the ribeye for me? Please, thank you. I'm good for the money. I'm good for it. I'll give you the money next week, I promise. What about the ribs? You're not getting the fucking ribs. You haven't paid me in weeks. Fine. An egg? Please, just an egg. I don't care what animal it's from. I just want an egg. Anyway, about a week ago, my wife went away on a few day-long business trip, meaning I was watching the boys Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Basically, I'm a bit ashamed to type this out, but the boys and I mostly ate meat, basically every chance we got. I don't think that's something to be ashamed about if it's something you guys like and she's not around. This was all fine and dandy. The boys and I had a great time. I just picture as soon as she leaves, they're just there like... That's me every dinner time, to be honest. As soon as I put on YouTube, I'm just like that. I have never seen her so disappointed in us. After putting the boys to bed, we argued for hours about how I was setting a poor example for the boys and that should respect the decision made by my wife, even if they're tough and inconvenient. It's hard to argue back because I can see her side, but it boils down simply to just, I don't want to be a vegetarian or vegan, and neither do the boys. Am I the arsehole? Nope. You're not. I don't want to say your wife's an arsehole because it's part of her new religion. She's got a very good reason to want to be a vegetarian or vegan or whatever. But doesn't mean you have to impose it on others. I get the idea of, I don't want to be around meat, but then you can't just say it can't be in the house if you're in a house full of meat eaters. Just like she's entitled to her own decision on what she's putting into her body, so should her husband and children be. And so for her to say that dad's setting a poor example for the boys and that he should respect the decisions made by the wife, even if they're tough and inconvenient, is just, it sounds a bit like, hey, what I say goes, and if you go against that, then you're setting a bad example for the boys. But that's not true. You gotta compromise on these things, you know. So if you don't like being around meat, maybe you have different dinners and you just eat at different times or something. Might have to be like that, you know, because I mean, I've got vegan and vegetarian friends. Some family members have been vegan/vegetarian at certain points in their life, and they've never been like, I can't be in the same room as it, because then it's like, well, you're choosing this over spending time with family or whatever. I don't know. This is I think I don't want to call her an arsehole, but in the situation, I don't think he's in the wrong, you know? She said she got rid of it because she couldn't be around it. Well, she wasn't around it. Also, you guys did not convert to her religion, so she can't expect that you follow it. Not really sure what the problem is when she wasn't home. Yeah, I would agree. I think if she cooks the meal for the whole family, then they are leaving the menu planning up to her. However, she was not home at that time. That's true. Also, what the fuck is a deodorant pill? That doesn't sound safe to be regularly consuming antiperspirants in lieu of using natural deodorant brand. Exactly, what the fuck is a deodorant pill? What is that? Do you put it up the butt? If so, I'm going to need them immediately. Am I the arsehole for blowing up on my mum for serving my kids a salad? No, you're a bomb. For blowing up? You know what I'm saying? My mum was a teen parent, so by the time I was getting married and having kids, she was ready for a do-over. So I have 2 sisters, 5 and 3 years old, who are close in age to my kids, 6, 3 and 1. You mean to say your kids' aunties is in fact younger than them? Imagine your auntie being younger than you. And they're like, you need to go to bed. I'll be like, fuck off. Aren't you still breastfeeding? Mate, I'm older. You go to bed. My mum and her husband parent a lot differently than my wife and I, which makes things super awkward when the kids are together. My wife also feels judged. Cherry on top, the 2 3-year-olds fucking hate each other. Needless to say, I don't get to see my mum much, but recently she invited us over to use their pool and have dinner. I was a bit anxious because eating together is usually a bad idea. My mum said she would make something simple as she knows my kids are picky. Now, I'd just like to say they aren't the worst eaters. The 3-year-old is a normal 3-year-old and my 6-year-old prefers things on the bland side, but they are healthy kids and their doctor isn't worried. We got there and swam. I thought it was going well, and then my mum brought out dinner, grilled chicken and salad, and I felt so defeated. My kids do eat veggies for the most part, but none of them are going to eat the feta cheese or the olives or the banana peppers, and honestly I feel like most kids won't. It felt like an annoying flex. I saw my wife look like she was going to cry and I lost it. I screamed at my mum that once again she's taken a dig versus being an actual grandparent, and she might think she is the world's greatest mum, but I feel bad for my kids because she sucks as a grandparent. My mum acted dumbfounded and we took the kids and went home. She texted me later that she has no idea why I'm mad at her. I should know that it's a simple meal for them, but then she fucked up and admitted she was going to do chicken nuggets, but the only ones she had coconut in them, and my son is allergic. So to me, she admitted she knew that wasn't a simple meal. I think most kids do eat vegetables, don't they? A chicken salad, but grilled chicken as well. It's like the simplest form of chicken. I don't know. I'm not in the family, so it's hard to tell if it was a dig or if it's like she actually thought it was a simple meal. Kind of is a simple meal. Just chicken and salad. I mean, you can't really control kids. You say eat your vegetables, they don't want to, but they should be eating them, you know? I don't know with this one. I've got to be part of the family. So if any of them wants to adopt me or something like that, I'm a good kid. I eat yogurt. I eat raisins. Sometimes yogurt coated raisins. And I roll around in the mud, so I'm easy to entertain. My mum said she would make something simple as she knows my kids are picky. Your mum made grilled chicken. That's about as simple as it gets. Kids don't want the salad? No big deal. Just give them the chicken. I have a feeling the mum is Los Tacos of Atlantis. I screamed at my mum that once again she's taken a dig versus being an actual grandparent, and she might think she is the world's greatest mum, but I feel bad for my kids because she sucks as a grandparent. So she cooks you a nice dinner. A simple dinner. You get mad about the salad and lose your shit and tell her that she's insulting you by serving it. Then you insult both her parenting of your siblings and I'm assuming her parenting of you and her grandparenting. You, sir, are setting a stellar example for your 5 and 3-year-old children. It's cool though. I'm sure watching their father scream at their mother that she's an awful parent and grandparent for serving a salad with feta and olives won't be a core memory for either of them. YTA, you're the asshole. Well, well, well. The Lost Tacos of Atlantis strikes again. He really took them down. After reading that, I'd have to agree, you know. This guy does sound like maybe the asshole. Also, just shouting at your mum is just a bit asshole-ish. You were carried for 9 months in that stomach and then you came out her butt and then you're shouting to her face. Shout to her butt if you've got real balls. That's right, your agony uncle has finished his shift. I've dealt with all of this. I've given everyone the advice. I've called people arseholes. I've called people not arseholes. And now all this speak of arseholes has made me hungry. So thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this to your family group chat. And why not comment down below some of your situations? Ask me and all the bacteria down there whether you're the arsehole in something that's happened in your life, and we'll tell you. If you want to watch another video, you can wait a couple days, or you could just click my face right now. It's your choice, okay? I would choose my face, personally. That's what I would do.